And welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Steve, here with a special preview of V-Commandos. Now, V-Commandos is one of my favorite stealth games, and I love my stealth genre. So this one is about the new expansion Ghost, which is currently on Kickstarter. So I'm going to sit down and play through a game of it with you, and show you all the cool new additions that are in this game. So sit back, relax, and let's jump in. Now, the first thing we need to do is we need to pick out what level we're going to do. And I decided to show off the airfield. I felt like this would be kind of fun. Have a bunch of different things to blow up and show you how leveling up works in this game, because that is something that is new to V-Commandos. As you destroy objectives, you will gain experience. In addition to that, we also have a lone wolf mode of play. This lets you play any map with a single commando, and I love playing with just one character, so this got me really excited. Because a lot of times in this game, you see on this card, in the corner of the card's got a number with the number of commandos on it. In this case, it's 3, so it's recommended to play this with 3 commandos. But I'm going to show you how to play this with only 1, with that lone wolf. So there are a couple ways to play V-Commandos. In the original game, you can play as a single level, which I'll show you tonight. Just playing this one map and we're done. Or you can play an operation, which is a series of interconnected levels. And that only takes you about 90 minutes as opposed to a level takes you 30 minutes. And then new in Ghost, you can play a campaign, which is a series of connected operations. But for now, I'm just going to show you this single level. And this level, our objective is pretty straightforward. We need to blow up 3 objectives. We need to destroy all those 3 aircraft, and then we need to escape, and we win the game. Now this map does show you all the different elements to create the board. And so around the board, you see different trucks, and that's the spawn points where the enemies will be coming from. You'll see machine gun nests. You will see equipment that's on the board. The objectives themselves we have to blow up. These are the blue tokens on the board. And then all the doors and the different types of tiles. Basically, there are 3 types of tiles in the game. Small, medium, and large. And then there's an inside and outside version of it on either side. So it makes it really fast to set up this game. But I have this map already set up. Let's jump to the table and I'll show you how to play. And so here's what the board looks like set up. So the main thing you notice are there are 3 different size tiles. There's a small tile, a medium tile, and a large tile. And so that's going to depict how many guys can fit on it and how easy it is to hide in that. Now the other thing you'll notice is between the tiles, especially the indoor ones, you'll see doors. Any closed door has a brown line across it. Anything that's open is just gray. If there's not a door on there, there's no connection between the indoor tiles. The other thing you'll notice is there's a big compass up here. This is going to help us know where the enemies are going to move, because sometimes we know where they're moving, sometimes we don't know where they're moving. And then of course we see all the triangles on the board, like here's a triangle which has the alarm. So if the alarm does trip, we could go to that location and deactivate it. There are the objectives, of course, and the machine gun nest, and in this case we do have a Goliath nest. So I'm playing with one of the expansions of this V-Commandos game, which is the Secret Weapons expansion. This one's particularly cool because you have these, I don't know how to describe it, like miniature tanks that you can remote control to drive around and explode them. So it should be fun. However, the enemy gets to drive them as well. So it'll be fun to see if we can leverage that to our advantage or not. There are also these gas tanks around the board, so we can maybe shoot those, and that will release the toxic gas that if you don't have a gas mask, it may be bad times. But yeah, we need to blow up these 3 locations on the board and then escape out of one of those trapdoors. So for this playthrough, I'm going to play as Butcher. So Butcher, and actually most of the commandos in the game, have 3 actions you can do on your turn, represented by those 3 circles. As you take wounds, you will place a wound marker to cover that up, and you have less actions for that game until you heal. Now, the top one also has a half blue, which means you can actually save an action up there as well. And so you can save an action, then use it later on almost any time, which is particularly cool. Now, Butcher does start with some equipment. You see over here in the area, he's got a spot for 1 additional equipment up here. He does start with a smoke grenade, a Panzerfaust, and he has a pistol and some butcher knives. And he has some cool special abilities. So I will grab those tokens and put them on his board. And then his abilities are, as a passive, he can ignore gas when wearing a German uniform. So if he can find a uniform, you know those gas tanks I talked about? Yeah, he can walk right through there without worrying about it. Also, the cool thing is, after succeeding a stealthy close combat attack, so that means he's right next to him, the knife sneaks up behind him, you can pull the pin out of the enemy's grenade instead of take him out. And then the enemy will just walk around the board like normal. At some point, I can choose to make the grenade explode, which should be really, really fun. And in addition to that, we can make close combat attacks when invisible. Normally, you can't sneak up to people and like knife them, right? Unless they know you're there. But he's got a special ability where we can do that regardless if he's visible or stealth. Now, so far, I've been talking about the base game and the expansions of V-Commandos, not the new content. Well, here's where the new content comes into place. Now we have experience cards. There are two types, a blue card and a yellow card. The blue card is a ability that will always be on, basically a new passive ability, or it might have some conditional triggers that will come into play. And the yellow cards are much more powerful, however, they are once per level use. So level being what we're playing now, you can use it once, and then when you go on to the next level, you have it back to do it again. And so when you do gain experience, you can choose, you'll draw one blue and one yellow and choose which one you want to take. Now, specifically for the Lone Wolf play, we get to choose some of these out of the gate, which is particularly cool. Now, we can only choose the cards that say Lone Wolf mode only on top of them. And so in this case, because I'm playing a 3-commando game with only one commando, I get to choose 2 of these. So the first one I'm choosing is this blue one called Vigor. Basically, every turn, I'm going to get 1 additional action. I can save that action or just get it straight up. So now I can play with 4 actions. The second one I'm picking is Combat Training. This one lets me immediately replace this card with another blue experience card of my choice. Now, the number of cards you get at the beginning is based upon the commando level, so there's a big chart to look up to figure all this out. But yeah, with that other Lone Wolf ability, I'm going to choose Solitary Shadow. If there are no other commandos on my tile, perform my stealth checks with red dice. What are red dice? This is also something new in the game. So the normal dice in the game are the blue dice, which have values 1 through 6, with 1 and 2 having an eyeball in it, which is a bad thing. You don't want to roll an eyeball when doing the stealth check because you get spotted. Now, with the Ghost expansion, you can get red dice. Red dice have values 2 through 6. So instead of having the number 1, you also have 2 6s. So I don't have enough dice to show all of them right now, but basically 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you do have 2 6 sides on here as well. There's another 6 right here. And so that's you basically shift the whole scale up. Makes it a lot less unlucky in that sense. Which is good for us, but honestly, the bad guy could get it too, so it could also be bad for us. The other thing we get to do for Lone Wolf is we get to pick an additional equipment from the loot bag. And you can pick anything you want, with the exception of a few of the guns. You cannot pick those. And so for this chart, for the setup I'm playing, I get to pick 1 additional equipment. I'm going to choose the binoculars because this lets me reroll dice. I'm hoping that with that red dice for my stealth checks and this binoculars that lets me reroll those stealth checks, that I can leverage my ability to sneak up behind them and pull the pins and have a bunch of guys running on grenades, live grenades. It should be pretty fun, hopefully. And finally, the last thing we get to do when adjusting for a Lone Wolf play is adding luck tokens in the game. And luck tokens is something completely new to Ghost. So I'm going to be adding 4 of these. These tokens are going to go into the enemy bag. And on the flip side, they're going to have something awesome for us to use. And so as we draw enemies out of the bag, if we draw into one of these, we'll resolve it and then draw another token like we would normally. It's basically like any bonus event that comes out of the enemy pool. There is some more stuff to talk about, but you know what? Let's just jump into the play. So the first thing we get to do is we start with the event phase. So here's our first event card. It is Search. During this turn, every commando may search once, 1 action, and choose 1 token from the equipment discard pile. Well, that's a bummer. We don't have an equipment discard pile because we just started the game. But maybe if we use an equipment right away, we can actually pick it up from the discard pile, which is actually something we may want to do. Now, this card is split into 2 halves. The top half is if the alarm is not ringing, and the bottom half is if the alarm is ringing. So we just do the top half in this case. The other thing when you look at is the bottom of the card with this north indicator. That means as long as the bad guys don't know where we are, we're not visible, they will just wander north. After the event phase, we can jump into the commando phase. So now this is where we can take our actions. Now, commando can have 4 different states. On the left, you see his silent side, where he's not visible. On the flip side of that, it is his visible side. You can see the eyeball and the alarms going off. On the right side, you can see what happens when he's wearing his German uniform. So he has a different artwork to be disguised. And in this case, I also have a gas mask, which is unique to this character. Or actually, unique to a few of the characters. They don't always have gas masks. You also see the symbol below to show that you can walk through gas. The flip side of that, which hopefully we will never see, is critically wounded. If you take enough wounds where you don't have any actions left, you're bleeding out and hopefully you can have someone come revive you. However, in solo mode, we have no one to come to our rescue, so that will be game end if we get to that state. Okay, now for our commando phase, we can choose where we want to enter the board if there's multiple choices. In this case, the trapdoors is how we enter. I can enter up here, but the problem is there's a closed door and I can't open the door without shooting the lock. If I shoot the lock, my gun is noisy and the alarm will go off. So if I go that way, I kind of stuck going towards this big tile, and the problem with the big tile is if you walk in there, you're immediately visible because there's no place to hide. It's just a wide open area. So this area is not ideal for my character. I think I have to start down here and on this medium-sized tile. And so in order to do that, if I spend one action to enter a medium tile, I will immediately become visible. However, if I choose to spend 2 actions entering a medium tile, I can stay stealthy. Basically, like, take your time entering it. So I will choose to spend my first 2 actions to enter that stealthily. Okay, so now I'm on the tile. Let me separate these so you can see that this is 2 separate tiles. Now we have 2 other actions. I think the best course of action for our character now is to try to sneak over to these TNT spots. So we can grab this TNT, set a charge, and get ready to explode those objective markers. So I spent 2 actions there. I've got 2 left. I will spend my 3rd action to move over here into this tile. And then my last action, I will actually save it and put it on my character card. So I have a saved action. Now, the interesting thing about V-Commandos is you can spend a 0 action point to do almost any time. You can do that anytime as long as you're not interrupting another series of events, which means that you can do it during another commando's turn as long as you're not interrupting one of their actions. You can do it during the enemy turn as long as you're not interrupting one of their actions, basically any time. And the nice thing is I could spend my 0 action to spend a +1 saved action. So I could do a normal action out of turn, and it basically is an Overwatch ability. It sounds kind of complex, but when we get into it, you'll catch on. It's very, very simple. Then also the nice thing about this game is basically everything in this game costs 1 action to do, with the exception of some rules for like dealing with objectives, which we won't have to deal with here. The 0 cost actions are picking up and dropping loot. Is the main one you'll be doing as a 0 cost, or blowing up TNT. But yes, I move there. I'll stop. I'll wait. Now that we're done with that, let's move on to the enemy phase. First thing they will do is they will call for reinforcements. So there is an enemy bag, reserve bag, which I'll draw from, and we will be adding 1 enemy to each of the truck locations. So it's a good practice when you're drawing for enemies to put them on the outside of the board next to the truck locations and then enter them in as long as there's space, because there is a number of circles on each of these tiles that is the maximum occupancy, both for commandos and enemies, that it could have. But in this case, since we have all the spaces available to us, we will enter in. However, we do have a special token I drew, which was this one here. This is the no spawn token, which is awesome because no enemies will spawn. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because we get one of these tokens here, the special token. So this is the Goliath tank, or a paratrooper potentially. So we'll remove this from the game, and instead we'll add this character into the bag. So now as the game goes on, the bag will get more and more populated with these stronger enemies. So after spawning, we will move all the enemies on the board, and all the enemies will try to move north if they can do so, because they don't see me, which is great. However, any enemy that is guarding an objective, which is if they're on top of a triangle token, will not move. So in this case, only this enemy moved north to this spot, because there's a wall here. He's not moving from there. This guy can't leave his post. So basically only this guy moves up north to that spot. Now the next step is the enemy will shoot at us if they can see us. So they will look at the tile that we're on and they will try to attack us. But they don't know where I am, so we'll skip that step and we'll move on. That's the end of the first round. Let's move on to the second round. We draw our event card again. This is the full moon. During this turn, all characters on outdoor tiles are easier to target. Roll 1 additional die for every shot targeting them. Well, that is no good. Good thing I'm trying to go indoors. So let's do that. And now they're going to try to move east. Okay, so now normally I don't recommend doing stealth checks in the game. It's better to have other ways of dealing with enemies, but I thought I want to try out the new content and see if I can make stealth checks work. So, with that said, let's start. Let's move for our first action into this tile. Now, anytime you enter a tile with an enemy, or they enter your tile, you have to perform what's called a stealth check. What it is, you have to roll a die and hopefully not see an eyeball on it. Now, the nice thing is because I have that upgrade, I get to roll stealth checks with red dice. So let's roll that red die and see what we get. Roll the 3, so he does not see me walk in there stealthily. So now what I can do is I can try attacking him. If I want to use a weapon of some kind, I would roll dice equal to the number of dice on my weapon. There's little squares underneath each weapon to tell you how many dice you roll. And the to hit value is equal to the target tile you're aiming for. For this example, because I'm a small tile, it's 4+ to hit. However, if I'm stealth, I'm in close combat, I can sneak up behind him and I can get him with just one action. So I'm going to spend one action to eliminate this foe. Every time you eliminate a foe, you draw from a loot bag and add it to that tile. So we get, an airdrop token. Airdrop is particularly cool because you can spend that token and point to a tile in outdoor terrain and maybe get some loot dropping on that. But there's a little bit of a caveat because the wind may take it different locations depending on what happens. But currently, I can't carry any more equipment, and as nice as that is, I'm not going to worry about right now. I want to keep going to get that TNT I really need. Now, because we have 2 more actions, I'm going to move up here north into this spot, and we have to do another stealth check. Roll the 6, so that's excellent. Don't have to worry about that. And my last action, let's see, they're moving east. I'm just going to eliminate that. Ooh. Do I want to eliminate him, or should I... let's set a grenade up. Let's pull the pin on him. That'd be fun. So how this works is my special ability. Instead of destroying him, I'm going to put a grenade on him, and so this is what a grenade looks like. The top section shows that it does trigger the alarm when it goes off. The bottom section shows how many dice you roll when it happens. And then, of course, like I said before, the hit value is equal to the tiles on. Now, you also notice that around those squares, on the bottom, you see a rectangle. That means there's some special rules around it, so you can look in the rulebook to see what that's about. In this case, all it means is it's a one-time use weapon. Of course, you throw a grenade, it blows up, it goes away. But I will put that on that unit, and he will wander around not knowing he's got a ticking time bomb attached to his waist. Okay, so far so good with our stealth check. This is pretty cool. Let's move on to the enemy phase. So first things first, we need to do some reinforcements. Okay, I added those reinforcements to the board. One thing to note, I did draw one of those elite units down here, and you happen to draw the paratrooper side. So what you do is you roll, you reach into it, you don't look at what you're pulling out, you just throw it on the board. In this case, I have the paratrooper. Now, interesting thing about the paratroopers is, or any of the elite units, they will never guard an objective token. So even though there's an objective here, and normally when somebody would walk into a spot with an unguarded objective, they would immediately guard it. He won't. He'll just keep going about his business. He's too important for that type of work. But anyway, we spawned all the guys. Let's have them all move. Now they're going to move all east if they can. Okay, we moved them all east. Our unsuspecting guy walked into the space with the alarm token with the other guy. Oh, yeah, just ignore that. It's fine. It's fine. But now they don't see me, thankfully, and we can move on to the next round. For our next event, we get Secure That Door. Once during this turn, by giving 3 of his equipment tokens to the Resistance, we can discard them, basically pay them off. One commando may pick up 1 crowbar token in the equipment reserve to barricade an enemy entrance on his level. That is amazing. So a crowbar, let me show you what that looks like. So here's what a crowbar is. It is blue in color because that means it's an equipment I can use over and over and over again. It never goes away. Green items always get discarded. Now, this crowbar can be used to open up a locked door silently, so you don't have to shoot the lock. However, it has another use. Some of this equipment, and this one in particular, has a red side to it. What that means is if it's on the red side and on the map, that means it's not loot you can pick up. It is loot that's been used on that location. And this particular loot can be used to be placed on top of any of those spawn points. And so what will happen is you put on top of a spawn point, and then when a guy spawns, it will spawn behind it, and they will try to enter. Now, they won't be able to enter the map until at least 4 units are on the other side. So it kind of delays them from entering the map. Now, there's an exception. Exception is some of the units do have sledgehammers, and they count as 2 units for that count. So it could be if they do spawn on the board, they could break that down a little bit quicker than others. but it's very, very useful if you want to try to have an opening, not worry about enemies coming at you. So that is really, really cool. I like that idea, but I have to get rid of 3 equipment, and I'm not prepared to do that at all at this point. So I'm going to kind of ignore that, and we just need to know that the enemy's moving north, which is not an ideal situation because an enemy will spawn here and most likely move north. Well, it actually depends. There's an objective there. But I think my goal now is to... Oh man, I don't have a lot of equipment slots in my character. We'll see if we can make this work. But I need to start setting up some traps. So first thing I'll do, for 0 actions, I will pick up this TNT. And unfortunately, I don't have space, so I'm going to drop my smoke there instead. So that was 0 actions to do that. I will spend 1 action to take advantage of no one being in this spot to move south. And then my second action after moving is going to be to set up the TNT. So now we've got the trap set. And this is on the red side, meaning that it is not loot I can pick up. It is now actively part of that terrain. So 0 actions to pick it up, 1 action to move down there, 2 actions to set it. Now I have 2 more actions to use. I will head back north to get prepared for setting traps on the other TNT. So let's move up here as my 3rd action. And then I'm going to pick up my smoke again because I love that smoke. It's very, very useful. I would love to go north here as my 4th action, but of course I can't actually get there because there's no door. So I could chance it and walk into this area here and make me take a shortcut around. You know what? Why not? I haven't used my binoculars. I have to do a double stealth check, but let's see if that works. Let's move into this tile and see if I can sneak past 2 guys. So just like before, I'll need to roll 1 dice for each character, and I don't want to see any eyeballs. So here we go. Roll those dice. And look at that. A 4 and a 6. No eyeballs. They don't see me, so that's awesome. That's all my 4 actions. I do have another one saved. I could use it, but honestly, it's generally a good idea to keep those saved actions. So I'm there stealthily in that room. They don't know I'm there with them. Let's move on to the enemy phase. Okay, that's all the enemies spawning. Now this guy does see these unguarded objectives, so he's going to go ahead and guard that one. But they're all guarded, and now they will be moving north because they don't know where I am. So the only enemies that can actually move north are these 2 enemies down here. They do have open spot to move up here because this spot is blocked, but this spot is open from the walk. Okay, now they would shoot, but they don't see me, so I don't have to worry about it. We can move on to the next round. Here's our next event. Take cover! During enemy shooting step, any commando may go to ground to get a better cover, but loses equipment tokens. So basically, you can dive around the corner. Now to do that, we need to spend 1 equipment, and then we get a 3+ to hit us on a large tile, 4+ on a medium tile, and a 6+ on a small tile. Or 5+ on a small tile, sorry. And 6 on the nest. So it basically makes it harder to hit us on each of those tiles, but we have to spend a token to do so. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's nice that's an option. So not all the events here are bad. There's a mixture of good and bad. This one's particularly good. And of course, they're moving west in our direction. So unfortunately, I'm in a bit of a predicament because I would love, my original plan was to walk this way, walk into this tile and go around, but this tile is currently full. I cannot enter this tile. So I kind of have to go around the other way, which is really unfortunate, but I don't know what else I can do about this situation. I mean, I can drop another grenade on this guy, which is maybe kind of fun while I leave, but I'm not too worried about that. Let's just maneuver. So 1 action to move here, 2 actions to move down here. This one is going to require a stealth check, so let's go ahead and do that one. Roll a 6, so it's awesome. Don't have to worry about it. This stealth red dice is awesome. I love it. So that's 2 actions. My 3rd action, I will move into this position here against this paratrooper. Let's see if he catches me. I rolled a 5. He does not see me, so I'm doing awesome there. My last action, I don't want to move to that spawn point yet. I will actually eliminate that paratrooper. So I'll spend an action to get behind him and get him. And that paratrooper is going to drop an airdrop, which is, actually, that's a good idea. I wonder if there's a try for the airdrop to see if it can get the TNT as opposed to walking all the way around to those spots. It might be worth it. But regardless, my turn's done. Let's move on to the enemy turn. So in the process of spawning, I did draw one of these no spawn tokens, so I will replace that with a Goliath in the bag. But the nice thing is no one spawned here, so it's going to be a nice clear opening. So that was all the spawning. Actually, because I also worried about it, because they would actually walk into my spot, because they want to move west. Now let's move all the characters west I can move. Okay, everyone moved, and the main thing that happened was this big mob decided to go into that area. So, good thing is they don't see me yet. Bad news is I have to deal with that eventually, but I do have an RPG in my hand, the Panzerfaust, so I may have to deal with that later. Let's move on to the next round. Back to Berlin. German officers have no room for error. During this turn, if 2 of these tokens, a TNT charge, grenade token, or bombardment, blow up, permanently remove 2 special unit tokens from the enemy reserve. Place them back in the game box. So that's pretty cool. If we did use multiple TNT this turn, or these other explosives, the special units are like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going. I'm leaving. I'm off. So pretty useful, but I don't see it happening this round. I do have 1 TNT ready to go, but I don't have the second. Okay, let's see. Now, I think I am going to take advantage of that airdrop. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop equipment, pick it up, and use the airdrop for 1 action, and then also pick up the equipment I just dropped. So effectively, I'm going to use the airdrop for 1 action. So it's going to use this, and I'll show you what it does. So how the airdrop works, you pick 1 outdoor tile. I'm going to choose this tile down here in the corner. And you will draw 3 loot tokens. And if there's any eyeballs in this, and you haven't seen this yet, but basically there are eyeballs in the equipment reserve. That means that when you eliminate a bad guy, if someone's standing around them, they might catch you and you will become visible. But so far it hasn't happened. I also have been trying to eliminate guys when they're alone. But eyeballs in this case will cause the airdrop into the destination to move in the direction the enemies would go. For example, in this case, they're moving north. So I'm choosing this spot because if I draw any eyeballs, it will move north. And if it moves far enough where it goes off the board, then it was a failed drop. Or if it moved in such a way it would land on top or go on hit a indoor terrain, it would basically land on the roof. I can't get it. So let's see what I get. Draw 3 tiles, and I get, oh, nice. Oh, this is amazing. That is 2 TNTs and a nice weapon. And that is going to drop right next to me. That was, the perfect pull for that. Okay, so I'm really pleased with that. This is amazing. Now, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend my first action, or my first 2 actions, because this is a medium tile, to move over here. Or sorry, that's my second and third action. Oh, man. I think I'm going to risk it, but I do need to pick up that equipment. So I am going to pick up those 2 TNT markers, and I'm going to drop my... I will actually only pick up 1 of those, because I do have an RPG. I am going to drop my my smoke, as much as I love it, into that spot, and instead take the TNT. I'm taking that because I can shoot this tile from range as an option, which is something I will probably wind up doing. Okay, it's all my actions. I have 1+1 saved, but I'm going to risk using it later. Now onto enemy reinforcement. The first thing I draw is, hey, it's the luck token. So let's see what the other side is. 4 units. So that is awesome. That's the first one I drew. I will keep drawing to respawn those spots. But before I do that, I need to pause and remove 4 units from the board. They don't drop loot, but they basically wander off. I can choose whatever units I want. Now, the enemies I remove in here, they cannot be on my tile, the one I'm currently on, and they cannot be guarding an objective. So I can't just be like, oh yeah, this guy is guarding it, he just wanders off. No, it doesn't work that way. So I can remove 4 others. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these 2 because they're kind of close to the direction I'm going. I definitely remove this guy here, and then I will remove probably, let's see, this guy up here. He's got a gas mask, and they will go back into the reserve. So I went ahead and drew a no spawning card right here, but I also just drew another luck token. So the other one just came up, which is pretty cool. So let's see what this one is. This one says I can remove a wound if I need to, or I can get a free action right now. That is pretty fortuitous, because with that free action, I will definitely take advantage of that and move north into this nest. And so what I can do is you actually move into the tile itself, but the nest is unoccupied, so I'll go ahead and take that spot, which I can actually use that gun to my advantage. Okay, and I spawn the remaining of the guys. Now we need to move them all north if possible. There's only a couple of characters that move. This guy will move north onto this position here, and this guy will also move north into my tile here. So now I need to do a stealth check to see if he sees me manning that machine gun nest. Here we go. Get a 3, does not see me. So I'm good up there. Okay, now they will try shooting at me, but they don't know where I am. I'm staying super stealthy this whole game, which I love it. We will move on to the next round. Out of ammo. Prisoners manufacturing enemy ammunition, sabotage them. During this turn, enemy units shoot with one less die, but never less than one die. So that is amazing. It is going to help us out, and they are moving north again. Okay, let's get back to it. So I'm feeling really good about this so far. So far they haven't seen me. I'm sneaking around. I'm on a machine gun's nest, but I'm not going to use it because I think I can get this set up to potentially win. So here we go. First thing I want to do is I want to eliminate this soldier here. So I'm going to use my knife and just take him out. And he drops an eyeball. So this is what would happen. So if there was another enemy unit on that tile that was not eliminated from that action, he would see his buddy fall over or be eliminated, and I would become visible. Just straight up. Nice thing is, because there's no one else on that tile, I just discard it with no effect. That's my first action. This is my second action. Let's go ahead and move north into this position right here. Okay, now I have to do a stealth check as well to see if either of these two guys see me. Here we go for the roll. Oh man, I'm getting really lucky. No eyeballs, so they didn't see me. So it's my second action. I've got 2 actions left. I am going to, for one of my actions, I'm going to drop my other TNT there. So that's primed and ready to go. I don't want to blow it up because I'm on that tile. I don't want to die. But that is looking good. I can fire the Pounds of Faust over here, which is really tempting. But I think if I can eliminate these guys and maybe make a break for it next turn, it'd be awesome. So I will go ahead and eliminate this foe here. And hopefully I don't draw one of those eyeballs. And we get crowbar, which is, ooh, that's really good. Oh, you know what? I did forget one thing. This is a medium tile, so when I enter there, I would actually be visible. So I do have my last action, and I'm going to, instead of doing anything else with it, I'm going to use it to enter that tile stealthily. So a little bit of a retcon there. I did miss that I needed to spend 2 actions to enter that tile. Now, that's really tempting because I could pick up that crowbar for free and then use it on this spawn point so an enemy does not spawn. I won't have my +1 saved, but that might be worth it because I have less guys. I don't have to do a stealth check. So I'm going to do that. This might spend my +1. Little risky here, but I want to try it. So I'll pick this up for 0 actions. I'll go ahead and use it for my last +1 action to crowbar that up. So that will be awesome because I won't have guys spawning in that zone. Okay. Here we go for the enemy reinforcements. So I did finish spawning all the guys on this board. Down here I did get a no spawn token, so I'll resolve that shortly. I also did place the guy outside because the crowbar is there. But in addition to that, I did draw the remaining 2 luck tokens. So let's look at these and see what they do. First one you get is this one, which says no truck or remove guys with sledgehammers. So if there's at least 4 spawn tiles on the board, which there are, I get to remove one permanently, which is amazing. Because I want to get rid of this guy down here in the corner, because that's my way out. I'm getting out of here. And the other one we got is this one, which is a +1 action or a saved action. I will definitely take that as a saved action. That is also amazing. So now we have another saved action. Let's go ahead and finish what we're doing here. So I will then replace this no spawn and put a new Goliath into the bag. During enemy movement step, the only one that can move is this guy down here. He will move up here with his buddies. And everyone else cannot move north. So we're on to the shooting step. They don't see me. Looking pretty good. So now we can move on to the next round. Our next event is Save Jacques! Add 1 visible civilian token on a medium tile. This does not trigger the alarm. However, should the civilian remain alive until the end of this turn, he will reward us with 2 TNT charges placed on 2 small tiles. So they are on the red side, meaning they're charged ready to go, which is pretty cool. But we don't necessarily need it, but I think I still want to save him. So let's see if we can do that. So here's our civilian token. He does have the visible icon on him, but he does not trick the alarm, which is nice. But what that means for visibility is the enemies will come at him when they activate. So I need to make sure he's protected. However, I think I can do that. So I can choose any medium tile I want. I can just put him on this tile down here, right? So he's out there waiting for me to come I'm like, hey, we're ready to blow this joint. Let's get out of here. So I've been carrying this equipment all game, and now I think it's time to use it. This is the Pounds of Faust. It's basically an RPG. It's so much fun to use. It has an eyeball on it with the alarm icon. That means when I use this, I will become visible, because you see the rocket fly, and the alarm will go off. However, the bottom of it shows an explosion symbol. That is a big enough explosion to destroy an objective and everything on that tile. So guess what? Where I'm standing next to, this big mess here with the objective token. Yeah, that is going to happen. This is going to be so much fun. So my first action I'm going to do is let's go ahead and launch that thing at this tile and blow it up. So all those enemies exploded. They were gone. They don't drop anything. We do remove this objective from the board. When we do that, we will be able to level up. So let's do that real quick. So here's our choices for that experience we can get. We can choose it's going to hurt. Every turn, you can throw one of your grenades or place TNT for 0 actions, which is pretty awesome, but it's also the end of the game. It's probably not going to matter. I'll choose stamina just because if I do take injuries, somehow I don't have to worry about it. So I'll choose that one once per level to ignore 2 injuries. Now, it's not always good stuff that happens. There's also bad stuff. Every time you do level up in this game, during normal play, not during setup, you do have to add a danger token to the bag. That's what the danger token looks like. The other side's got just really bad stuff on it. Basically the same thing as a luck token, except bad things. So I'll go ahead and add that to the bag. Okay, and the last thing we have to do, because we did explode everything on it, that does include the poison gas. Now the poison gas is on that tile, and if basically anything enters that tile will immediately perish. And don't forget, because we're now visible, they now see us. Surprise! You saw me shot that RPG. And now all the spawn point alarm will be tripped. So the alarm is going off down here. It's yellow now. And each of these spawn points now has 2 guys on it. I'll show you up close real quick. And it's got 2 soldiers on it. So now it's spawning 1 guy, we spawn 2. Okay, so alarm's going off, poison gas is going. I'm right here, the guy sees me. What am I going to do next? That was my first action. My second action is I want to try to get out of here. So I need to run away. But if I run away, that guy's going to get a free attack on me. So instead, I'm just going to knife him. Now, normally you can't do this because you're visible, but I have a special power. I can knife him even when I'm visible. So one action, he's gone. He does drop an airdrop, which is fine. I don't really care about that. Let's go ahead and get out of here. So that was 2 actions. 3, I'm moving to here. Now, anytime you move into a small tile and there's no enemies present, you can become stealth again. Or if you move stealthily into a large tile or medium tile, you can be stealth again as well. So that was 3. A 4th action, I will move back into this tile, but because I'm only using 1 action, I'm now visible again, so I know where we are. But before I leave, I'm going to now spend my 0 actions to cause more explosions. So I'm going to simultaneously blow up those locations, so all that loot is going to get discarded, and those objective tokens are going to get discarded as well. We now get to level up twice. I can do that, but honestly it's not going to matter because I have a +1 action. I'm going to just use it to now escape the level with Jacques out of the trapdoor. And we won the game. I hope you enjoyed that playthrough where I went through the secret weapons with you. We did not see the Goliath tanks, so that's a really fun part where they get to remote control, drive them around, and blow them up. They just didn't come out this game, but maybe a future play you'll see it. But regardless, I had a lot of fun playing this with you. I just loved the game so much. Now, let me share my thoughts on V-Commandos first, and then I'll talk about my first impressions of what Ghost does to the game. So V-Commandos, I absolutely love this game. This game is fantastic. It is my favorite stealth game out there. And I love it because all the fun tactics, and it's just a very cinematic experience. It is so much fun. The rules are not very overwhelming. They kind of melt away when I play it. I'm just having fun playing the game. Now, the biggest selling point for me is definitely that +1 action point. Being able to save that and do that auto turn just opens up the possibilities for tons of tactics and fun. It's not always great though, because rolling the dice, you just have a bad die roll and you get unlucky, and it just kind of feels kind of bad sometimes when you're like, you do all this planning, a guy appears, you roll bad, and now the alarm's going off, and you have this tough situation. Now, it's never a game loss situation. You can always, it's just a scramble. Now, how can I recover from the situation? Maybe I can go to the alarm and turn off. But regardless, I like having mitigation options in my game. The base game did have mitigation options in it. In fact, I had the binoculars, which I actually wound up never using, surprisingly. But there are other mitigation options as well. But that's one of the main ones in the game that's really reusable. I like that one quite a bit. But that was my big con of this game, not having enough mitigation. Now with Ghost, you saw that the red dice, I didn't roll a single eyeball on that. It was a 1 in 6 chance. I got really lucky, and I had a reroll ready to go in case I did roll that. And I was able to get through the whole map, basically stealth, until I was ready to blow up stuff, which was amazing. And I was able to run up behind people and knife them, which is not something I could have done very easily without being lucky in the base game. So what that's telling me already is this new Ghost content is opening up the world to more strategy and tactics in this, which I love. This was great. The experience is awesome. The slight issue I have with the experience is whoever completes the objective gets the level upgrade card. And so you could have a situation where someone just is always the one doing the objectives and they get all the level up stuff. So, I mean, it's easy enough to house rule that maybe instead of that one person get the level up card, you do share the load. It just means that whenever an objective is completed, you then pick a commander to get that experience. But that's not technically in the rules. It's just something that I would probably prefer to play. Just a minor note. And then if you do get eliminated, all your upgrades go away. All the experience you get is gone. I do like the luck tokens. I feel like that does help a lot when trying to play solo to help with the balance. But honestly, the big thing is starting with experience and starting with equipment is a huge factor in the Lone Wolf. I think it makes it very feasible to play solo, as you saw here. This wasn't a super challenging one because it was going from a 1 commando to a 3 commando level. When you can go from a 1 commando to a 6 commando level, so you can have a lot more bigger map, a lot more going on. But for the purposes of this, I want to get through the game without it lasting too long. But yeah, I'm very happy with the experience. I like how there's a lot more mitigation there. It's fun to now to choose how you're gonna level up your character. The danger tokens work pretty well. I hate seeing them when they pop up. We didn't see too many examples. Actually, didn't see any examples of it because it didn't come up. But some of them are pretty brutal. Like, oh yeah, you found that equipment that you stole that gun off that guy. Well, guess what? You can't run out of ammo. It doesn't work anymore. I'm like, oh no. Some of the danger tokens are extra guys spawning. They're moving faster. It just kind of throws wrenches in your situation. But no, they work well. I think I love the luck tokens. Love the danger tokens. Experience is my favorite thing about the game for sure. I am really enjoying it. And the red dice, they're great. They make it very interesting in how we can use it as commandos, and the enemy actually use it as well in certain situations. So the other thing that is part of the Kickstarter is miniatures. So there's a miniature for all your commandos and all the enemies, and just a ton of things out there. Now, the game originally came with the tokens, which you saw me play with tonight. I did not have the miniature of the commando I was playing with, nor did I have any of the enemy miniatures to show that to you. I am playing on the stream channel with miniatures with Kim. We're currently in the middle of a campaign, so you can just tune in Monday night to see the conclusion of that campaign. Or sorry, not campaign, the operation. So you can see kind of how that works with miniatures. But honestly, I don't think this game needs the miniatures. I think if you were a diehard fan and you just love miniatures, cool, it could work. But I really enjoyed the simplicity of the tokens, and it works out pretty well. That is one thing I'm not quite sold on, but the rest of it I absolutely love. I think this Ghost is an amazing expansion from what I've played so far. I can't wait to play more. In fact, I will play more on Monday, and I am totally in for this game. But like I said before, this is a quick disclaimer on my first impressions on this. I would like to do a review of this later on when I see the actual finished product. But hopefully this gives you some idea on what I think about the game and provides value to you. Now, if you have further questions for me, you can reach me on the Discord. So we have links below. Very active on there. Or you can just join in Monday or Wednesday nights because I tend to stream on our stream channel as well. Like I said, I'll be doing the V-Commandos there next week. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next stop.